Hello, I hope you all are doing so well. I'm going to be talking about my spring TBR. So I have quite a few books on this. This is a revised list, kind of, because I had so many that I feel like it was just impossible for me to not carry some over to summer, which might still happen, but I'm going to do my best to read these within the end of March to the very beginning of June. So getting right into it, I have two books I'm in the middle of, which are Sunrise on the Reaping, which I'm hoping to finish this today, and then All the Light We Cannot See, which I'm hoping to finish probably by Thursday or tomorrow for you guys watching, because it should be out on Wednesday. Today is Tuesday. So these are the first two books that I'm obviously going to be finishing. My first, I think, two books I will be finishing for spring. These are in no particular order, but I do have a writing, I think is how you would say this. I really don't know. Don't really know much about this. I just have had it for a while, and I've really been wanting to get into like Greek retellings because I love Greek literature, and I just have been really craving getting back into that. Then another one I want to get into is also Circe by Madeline Miller. This is, I believe, the UK version. Then I want to start the Throne of Glass series with Assassin's Blade. Don't come for me, I do not care. I will be starting with the Assassin's Blade. And so that is my plan, and I'm hoping to at least start with this one and read this one. I don't know if I'm going to do all of them at once or not. I own the first four, but I will be for sure reading at least this one in spring. Then two books kind of Studio Ghibli-esque, one being an actual movie, is Kiki's Delivery Service. I got this whenever this edition came out, and I've been wanting to read it, but I feel like this is very much a spring themed book. Kiki's Delivery Service always just reminds me of spring, and so I'm very excited to read this one. House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones. This is the third book in the House of Moving Castle trilogy. I will promise saying that Hal and Sophie are not the main characters. They only show up a little bit, so. Next, I have None Shall Sleep. This is the first book, and I think a trilogy, at least at the moment. And this takes place in like the 80s, and I've heard that it's very much like, if you like the like classic 80s like slasher films, this is like what that reminds you of, or reminds people of. And so I'm really excited to get into this one. Then I also have Butter, which is also like a food murder mystery, if I remember right. Next is a book I know nothing about, but The Bone Witch. I want to read or reread the Iliad. I read this in middle school, same with the Odyssey. I do not own the Odyssey yet, but with Catabasis, or Catabasis, however you want to say it, coming out, I do want to read all the books or reread them if I've already read them. The books that need to prepare you for that are mentioned or have a lot of inspiration from it. So I have a list about like 20-ish books that I've seen other book creators talk about that have read the ARC, books that they've mentioned, but also like books I believe that are in the bibliography. I really don't know. I know nothing about it other than just the main premise of the story. And so my plan is to reread this and eventually pick up the Odyssey and read those in preparation for Catabasis. Then next I have the second book in the Mirror Visitor Quartet, and I finished it's A Winter's Promise is the first book. This is the missing of Claire de Lune, which is like the main city or like island cult like of the north. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right. I actually don't know if that's fully accurate, but I think that's what I understood when reading it. What Claire de Lune was, I think it's that, or it's the whole world, but I'm pretty sure that refers to the more northern region, but it could be the whole region. But I loved the first book. I loved following Ophelia, and so I'm very excited to continue following her in the second book. Next, I have the second and third book in the Infernal Devices, which is Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess. I read Clockwork Angel, I think in November to December of last year, and I was absolutely obsessed, and I wanted to pick these up so bad, but I didn't want to buy any more books in 2024, so I got them this year when I ordered the second book in the Mirror Visitor Quartet, and so I'm very excited to read these and finish these. I'm hoping to do a video solely focusing on reading these, and I can't wait to pick them up. I'm so excited. I think that I might honestly pick them up right after I finish Sunrise on the Reaping and All the Light We Cannot See, in addition to other books I'm in the middle of. Books that feel very spring to me, specifically March, but I'm probably not going to read them in March, is Sorcery of Thorns and then The Mysteries of Thorn Manor, which go together. I believe this is I don't know if this is a I know this is a little novella, obviously, that goes with it, but I don't know the premise, if it's like following the events of this or if it's before. I want to say it's before, but I genuinely do not know. Another book I have is Cast, which I just picked this up recently, and this has been a book I've been wanting to read for a while and pick up for a while, but I typically, unless like I'm really, really wanting to read this book, or if I have it pre-ordered, I typically will not pick up books from Barnes unless I can at least get one of them half off. And so I saw this on a table when I was traveling, and so I was very excited to know that I could pick it up and buy it and not feel super guilty. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to say and just learning more overall. I really like to read. I love fiction, obviously, you can tell by my shelves, but I really love reading nonfiction as well and trying to at least read like one nonfiction book a month. I try to read more than that sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I at least try to read one. And so this will probably be one of them I read in the upcoming months. Then a recent release is Our Infinite Fates. I saw Rachel Catherine talk about this when she got the ARC, and I think one of her previous TBR videos, and so that really interested me. I think it came out the beginning of March, and so I'm very excited to read this whenever I'm in the mood for it. Then I want to read Swordcatcher, continuing with Cassandra Clare, I guess, this month. I want to read this because Since the Ragpicker King just came out recently, and so I'm hoping that I can get to this and hopefully get to the second book. But we will see, because this might be one that does carry over the summer. It's not super high priority, but I do at least want to try to read it this year. And I have What the River Knows, and I also have Where the Library Hides, but I at least want to try to read this one during spring. This came out, I believe, in 2023. I don't know if they're like Tomb Raiders or if it's I believe that's what it is in a way. Either way, I think that they are these characters are beautiful, and I'm so excited to read this. I think it's going to be very epic, and I am just looking forward to it, because I think Indiana Jones is like, I don't know if it's a comp title or if it's just like, I don't really know, but I have seen it mentioned with this, so I am excited to know that and read it. Some books I'm in the middle of reading that I do want to obviously finish in this month is Fellowship of the Ring. This is the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And so I just finished rewatching the movie, watching the extended version for the first time. And so I want to read the book, obviously, that goes with that. So I'm hoping to read this whole trilogy and watching the movies, but I also want to try to read Thronebreaker. I have all 3 books in that trilogy by Victoria Aveyard, but I haven't read them because I know that it was very much inspired by Lord of the Rings, and so I really want to try to read these first before I read that. And I'm in the middle of Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I think I'm like only 50 pages into this, but I am very excited to continue this because I am very intrigued to see what happens with our couple in this book. Then I have The Princess Will Save You. Don't know much about this. I bought it last year. I started it on a road trip, and then I put it down because I picked up a different book that I brought with me. And so I really want to continue this. I'm very intrigued from what I know about it. And so from what I understand, I believe she's like a knight, but also is the princess. But I think he's like is he the actual knight assigned to her? I really don't remember. I just know that he accompanies her in some sort of way. But either way, wanting to hopefully restart and finish this book this year. Specifically, obviously, spring. Then I have This Woven Kingdom, which I am just so late to the game in reading this book. The only reason I haven't started this before, or have not bought this before, is because I hate the covers with this. I know this is a very common thing in the book community, that people do not like these covers, myself included, and I was really hoping that they would reprint these without this. But like I said before, I saw this sticker and I told myself it was just the time to get it for me, so that is why I have it. I did start reading the first page, and I'm so excited to continue reading this, and I really cannot wait. I am just like sitting on the edge of my seat wanting to read all these books at once and just put them all in my brain, but that's not possible, so I'm gonna have to take my time. I'm hoping to at least read this book this spring, obviously, but I'm really hoping I can finish this by summer, the whole trilogy. Probably one of the #1 books I want to read in spring is Anne of Green Gables. This is the Litjoy edition. I'm not gonna open it until like I'm actually actively reading it. But I bought this I think in like for Christmas for myself, and I just love the cover of this. I love this. I also love the cover. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the covers for Anne of Green Gables, and so when I saw this edition, I knew I had to get it. Other books I really want to read in spring too, like probably like top of my TBR for like this seasonal reading would be Flower Heart. Don't know much about this. It just looks like a very much spring cover. It looks very cute, and so I'm hoping to read it obviously in spring. Continuing on, I really want to read The Darkest Part of the Forest. If I don't get to this in spring, I won't be too upset, but I'm hoping I can. Obviously, if it carries over to summer, cool. But I love this cover. I think it's so beautiful. This is by Litjoy, and I have the photos in here, but it also, like, they have printed out versions of, like, this and then the other page, which I just think is absolutely stunning. It also has the gold, like, foiled edges. I haven't read anything by Holly Black in a long time, and so I really would like to read all of her books, honestly, that I haven't read yet. Next, I have Serpent and Dove, which I think this follows the same premise as, like, I think The Crimson Moth, where it's, like, a witch and a witch hunter end up having some type of romance, but, like, also having to work together, and they don't necessarily know that one's a witch and one's a witch hunter, I think is how it works. I don't really know for sure. But either way, this is a trilogy, if I remember right, and I'm excited to finally pick this up because I would like to read this since I own this already, before picking up The Crimson Moth. So that would be nice if I could do that. I am in the middle of reading Tales from the Cafe, and I've own all 5 books in, like, this series at the moment, and so I really would like to continue with this one and finish it. I'm almost done with the first story out of the 4 in this one, and the first one is packing a punch. That is all I'm gonna say, but I'm hoping I can finish this probably by a week from today. So I don't know anything about this book, but The Hedge Witch of Foxhall, I thought this looked very interesting. I was intrigued, and so I ended up getting it since it was on sale. And so I'm hoping I will enjoy this, but it looks very springy. And so I prefer to go into my books blind if I can. Sometimes a premise will interest me more, but for the most part, if there's a book that's hyped, or if there's a book that intrigues me, I like to just try to go in blind and not know anything. Another nonfiction book I have on my list is Everything is Tuberculosis. It just came out a week ago today, and it's a very short book about tuberculosis and I think how it relates to a lot of things and just everything, really. And so this is only like 200 pages, but I'm very excited to read it because I've not read anything by John Green since like 2016. And so I know that I think he has 2 nonfiction books out, this one being one of them, at least I know of. But I do want to read the other one he has out, which I don't remember what that is. I think it's just essays, but since I got this one and own this one, I will be reading this sooner than later, and I'm very intrigued to see everything about this because I was just seeing someone post about it because yesterday was World Tuberculosis Day. I saw someone talking about how Edgar Allan Poe had tuberculosis and how he most likely killed most of his family because of having tuberculosis and being an asymptomatic carrier, which I thought was very interesting. And so I'm very intrigued to read this. Like, I think most girls in middle school, I had a very I had a huge hyperfixation on Edgar Allan Poe and his work and his life because I thought he was so interesting and how he died and how, like, all of that. It's like the same thing with Vincent van Gogh. Like, I think all the girlies who were on Tumblr, who were young, who loved John Green, also had obsessions with Vincent van Gogh and Edgar Allan Poe. I don't make the rules. If it's just me, I'm gonna be really embarrassed. But, no, I'm not. But, you know. Anyways, moving on, I have The Rose Bargain, which this was on my March TBR. I'm probably not gonna finish it this month, but I would prefer to finish this in spring. If I finish it in summer, that's cool, but this is obviously on my spring TBR, so that is that. Again, don't really know much about this. I think it takes place in like the 1800s, and I thought this was going to be like a Midsummer Night like retelling, but it's, from what I understand, it's not. And so I don't know a lot about it, but like I said, I like going into my books blind as much as I can, especially if I know like certain people that I look up to, like for recommendations, say they loved it. That's all I really need, and I want to go in blind and just experience it for myself. Getting to the last couple books, this was on my winter TBR. I did not get to it, so I would like to read Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, preferably in spring. I finally got The Princess Bride, as you can tell by the sticker. That's why I got it, and so I am so excited to read this because I've seen a stupid spoiler on TikTok. That's my fault. I mean, the movie and the book came out in the 80s, I'm pretty sure. I actually don't know when the movie came out. I'm pretty sure they were both in the 80s. Maybe the movie's in the 90s. I don't really know. But anyways, it's before my time. I should know, and I should have watched it or read it. But either way, I finally own it, so now I can read it and then I can watch the movie, because I did get the movie a couple months ago for like $4 from Barnes, and so I'm really excited to read this and watch it because I've heard the book is better than the movie, and I've seen a lot of people say that the movie is like their favorite movie, and like what was like their introduction to like fantasy and like romance and like plot twists and all that fun stuff of that goes into plot points and progression. So I'm just very excited to read this. I think it's going to be a fun time. Last book I am very nervous for but very excited for because I have wanted to pick this book up since it came out and I just never did. I have been hearing wonderful things about this since it came out, and I love Arthurian legend. I was a Merlin girly growing up. I loved the Magic Treehouse books. I read anything I could that related to that. I remember reading books about the myths. Like in 5th grade, I checked out like every single one from my library because I was just that obsessed with it. And so I'm very excited to read this. I'm just very scared because like I think I'm going to be so obsessed with this book with just like not even like middle school me, like elementary school me, like would be eating this up. And so I know that like I'm just so excited, but like I'm just like I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but like I also think this is going to consume me. And this is the special edition that just released recently, but I love these sprayed edges, and I think that's kind of what convinced me to finally get it, is that it had that even though it has this. I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited to read this. And yeah, that's really it for this video. I have a lot of videos that I have planned out for reading all of these, and so I'm very, very, very excited. My goal is to not set monthly TBRs for spring. My goal is just to read these books and kind of pick them up whenever I feel like it, because I've been kind of getting a little, not slumped, but kind of slumped. And so I feel like it would just be good for myself to just have some time to where I can mood read as much as possible and not feel like I need to finish a TBR. And so, because I haven't even finished a TBR. I've been very close to finishing them, but I haven't. And so I just think I would like to just have my freedom with choosing what I want to read, because that's the whole point of this, is I just want to share my reading journey and talk about books. And so that is my plan, but I hope you enjoyed. That's the end of the video. I hope you guys had a great time. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!